Cool, we're live.
What? So all has your like my reach on LinkedIn has like dropped out precipitously. Like no one cares about me anymore. It makes me feel sad.
No, it's interesting you say that actually, because I seen you, Juliana, was speaking to someone.
Feeling a bit,
They released that creator mode, right? Have you been given that feature yet?
I don't get that. Someone wants me to create. Someone mute her.
Okay, what's going on there?
What do you think?
Yeah, I got given this feature called creator mode. I switched just to see what it was about. But since I switched, actually, my reach just went crazy, like double on all the posts. And that was the only change that happened. Yeah.
Oh, so you know what's happening? They're giving you guys all the reach and they're stealing it from us poor people that don't have creator mode going for us.
Did you update your app?
Audience.
How do you, is it? Can everyone do that? Can I do it?
You should have like like if you have it on your profile picture, it should be like a plus, so you can add something.
Oh,
Didn't you see? Shit, didn't you see that I have that cool video on my profile picture? That's the only reason I like it. Because when you get on my profile, I'm like, which is cool. It shows character. It shows how serious I am.
It really just wants me to tell me my pronouns. It wants me to add my pronouns. That's all my profile wants me to do.
What's your pronouns?
Call me whatever. I don't care. A name's a name. I don't pronouns.
It's a cleanse because you're not posting the fire emojis. You're being penalized by LinkedIn. The more emojis you use, the more you game the algorithm.
Is that the thing? When I make checklists, should I have fire emojis going in front of all my checklists?
100%. You need the fire or the comet. My favorite one.
Yeah.
Oh, the little finger that says, "Hey, pay attention to this."
Exactly.
I'm so old school. I still use like the up caret in Slack just to point to stuff. I don't use the emoji stuff. I'm too lazy.
I never seen you I think I only seen you like 3 times in my life putting a laughter emoji. Like you really made me doubt my sense of humor a lot since we know each other.
Do you guys know how hard it is for me to find an emoji and like click on some stuff and search for stuff? It's no.
It's there. It's like
I don't. Look, I had to turn off notifications to LinkedIn on my phone because of you guys. Because here's what happens. No, it's still on my iPad, and thank God that's in the other room because we have opposite schedules. And when you guys start chatting and I wake up to 75 messages, that would like drive me nuts if I didn't keep my phone in another room and have LinkedIn shut off on the.
You've got to have it on mute, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about something related to e-commerce. I actually want to ask you, Roman, specifically. How has the iOS updates been affecting your ads in particular?
There's, to be quite honest, looking at big accounts like that, where we use lookalikes, lookalike audiences, custom audiences, they started dipping slowly, and we don't know what to do at this stage. So we are trying to leverage interest-based audiences, but yeah, it's just something that everyone's trying to figure out, to be honest. I have no clear and definite answer at this stage. Small accounts that spend, I guess, something that below $1,000 a day, they're okay. It's big accounts that are affected. So the ones that haven't really scaled properly, the ones that we are still working on, we're optimizing, they're okay, but the ones that already scaled started dipping. So a lot of people debating whether it's a good approach to use Hyros and combination of Hyros and Google Analytics and Facebook ads, or try to see if there's another third-party software that can help with tracking, but it just adds more complexity in my view. So we're trying to keep things simple. Also platform diversification. Like one of our clients is looking to diversify on Snapchat, TikTok, and YouTube, because this is where the audience exists as well. That's one of the solutions as well. So, but yeah, it would be very interesting to see what's happening at the end of Q3, and coming up to Black Friday, Q4.
At what point do we just move to blended ROAS in general, though? I mean, I feel like everything is converging and headed that direction, and I think it's almost insane to look at an ad account and be like, oh, we have to nail this via our ads. I think we became way too reliant on ads and saying, hey, attribution is really easy to do because Facebook's telling me exactly what's going on here, or Instagram's telling me what's going on, or whatever. But like, when do we just not give up, but just change our entire approach and say, hey, people don't know how you find out about a brand or what caused them to make that sale happen.
Yeah, actually, today I had a chat with one of the clients about they sell office furniture in Europe, and we
Just
talked
want to
about.
make sure before you go on, Roman, that you refrain yourself from sharing strategies on this podcast.
Why lip sealed for now. Go on, Roman.
I was talking about blended ROAS, and they agreed. I mean, they've been agreeing to the fact that yes, it makes sense to look at blended ROAS, but they're not used to it, and it's also more to do with the fact that they do not understand unit economics to the point. Like they still are reliant on Facebook advertising because they're used to seeing Facebook ad metrics, and now they're basically pushed to understand their real metrics, and this is where the challenge is. So we're trying to basically explain them that.
So based on that, would either of you, in fact any of you, recommend stop focusing on Facebook solely on conversion and use it more of an awareness medium as well?
You get penalized. Conversions, basically, you have to stay in the conversion in terms of whatever your goal is with all your campaigns, but you should use it. I think there's a lot of misusing of the platform. People thought that like back in the day, Facebook was cheap and it was easy to put an ad in front of stuff, and people weren't used to seeing a lot of ads, so ads would stand out. Now 90% of the platform is ads. Like it just requires a different approach in terms of creative and understanding how to kind of move a message along. But this is one of the things that people don't get. Like awareness is great, but really you're looking for timing and opportunity, right? You're looking to be in the right place at the right time when someone's looking to make a purchase. And you can't, scarcity and urgency don't exist. And I know that this comes up quite often, but you can go buy a whole bunch of stuff, and if something's sold out, you're going to go find a competitor that has pretty much the same stuff, the same materials, and the same cut. Like there is no difference between most stuff today. Everything's commoditized. So maybe it's awareness, maybe it's right time, right place. Facebook does have a tendency of being pretty good about figuring out when people want to convert, though. And we did A/B test this about like link clicks just for awareness. There was a slight edge given, and we were looking at data as to when people were looking to purchase as well. And it tended to come out that people were more interested in purchasing quicker at conversion rather than at link clicks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the same applies to different businesses now. There is no cookie cutter approach. Big accounts are the ones that spend big bucks, like real big bucks. They would usually have everything very simplified in the ad account. And in fact, one of my friends running a pretty cool skincare brand in Korea, they spend, I believe, $300,000 to $400,000 a month, and they only have one campaign. That's it, nothing else. And I believe one audience and a few ads. That's it. And they make pretty good return on ad spend. When it comes to small businesses, medium-sized businesses, it's a totally different approach. So a lot of segmentation, a lot of different copy, a lot of different audiences. So yeah, it really depends. Also, maybe the answer doesn't exist in the ad account. Maybe it exists elsewhere.
So talk about that for a second. Audiences, I think, is one thing that we don't focus enough on. And I think marketers in general get into this habit of saying, oh, these are our personas. Let's just find people that meet our personas that are picked out of thin air. Like, what is your approach to working through audiences?
So originally, and typically you look into Facebook Insights because it basically tells you what would be your next step in terms of audience research. So let's say you're targeting, mothers, single mothers of the age, 45. And the next thing that Facebook's telling you to target their interest based on, I don't know, on what they like in a particular interest. It could be I don't know, shopping, and then if they like shopping particular cosmetics, then they like particular brands, then maybe they like similar interests. So Facebook pretty much knows that, and it gives you basically the next logical step, what audience to use. That's pretty simple way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to go on different social media platforms, go on Amazon and competitor websites, and try to dig out consumer insights and see if you can find something interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can only agree with what you said as well. The slowdown is affecting even a lot of the stuff we do because, as you know, email is intrinsically linked to it. So the list growth has slowed massively on pretty much every account that we've got over the last 2 weeks, like by half. So when you acquire less customers, obviously, then most people seem to think that you can just send out more email campaigns, but you're just hitting that point where you're losing your future returns because your account starts hemorrhaging subscribers and then you're not replenishing them through the top of the funnel. So yeah, it's a big issue for us as well.
So what's the shift that you're making in terms of content to kind of like, because obviously, well, we know the churn and burn version of going through a list, making a ton of money, but knowing that you're going to lose a bunch of people. And I think that, does that have to just absolutely stop now if, you know, your flow from up top starts hemorrhaging and kind of dying it?
Yeah, well, I think as I've been, you know, quite vocal about it and spoke to you many times, I think that's just an outdated strategy, or it's at least an inefficient one. And it's dependent on the fact that you can at least acquire people and break even through the top and then, you know, somehow monetize them and make profits by adopting that approach. But I've seen some of the accounts that we've took over or worked with in the past, even I still have access to, who follow that methodology. And they're absolutely hemorrhaging subscribers, or the list engagement is so low and the deliverability is affected. And because the acquisition slowed down, the results are just getting worse and worse and worse. So as that goes further down the line, I mean, it's just going to continue on that trajectory. And ultimately, unless they magically find a way to start bringing people back in through the top, then, you know, they're in big trouble, massive trouble.
That's really
interesting. So there is a tactic which a lot of the agencies and brands trying to do with their ads is to basically, instead of just driving conversion campaigns, and I told Jon about it earlier today, you combine conversion campaigns with reach campaigns or with traffic campaigns. It kind of gives you Facebook a bigger room to play with, and basically it reaches for more audiences and tries to understand whether it can then work with, I mean, not high quality audiences, but can try and turn them into quality audiences when they're being driven through the conversion campaigns, if that makes sense. So that's really a tactic. There is no like solid structure behind it, but it's proven to work with bigger accounts, with bigger brands. This is one of the things, this is how we would try to do, what we try to test next. And obviously everyone's talking about interest, so it just makes sense to understand, how to leverage interest even better.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you guys hate in e-commerce? Because this is becoming like I'm snoozing. So what? Let's talk about cool stuff. Let's make this interesting, because I feel you.
I hate direct mail.
You hate direct mail?
No, why? No, why? Why?
Tell me, why do you love direct mail? What's this obsession you've got with it all of a sudden?
I mean, I like direct mail.
Killing trees.
Look at him. You can use recycled paper, and you can use recycled stuff. I'm not good at that. I'm Romanian. We don't recycle in Romania that much. In Eastern Europe, we're not very good at that. So you found the wrong person to have recycled conversation.
I hate plastic. Yeah, that's what
I don't like plastic either. So now, man, I just like direct mail because I'm an RFM freak. So RFM came from direct mail. And I think the fact that in general, only, I don't know, what I know from, my conversation, in general, the open rate is 20%. of a email list.
Mhm.
So I think it's a cool alternative, something that I'm testing right now, which I'm very I don't like sharing on LinkedIn what I'm testing because everyone can test, right? And
So are we
yeah,
talking about like
Might steal your ideas.
are you like handing out flyers? Is this what you're all about?
nah, man. So for instance, a lot of people have issues with supply chain and fulfillment and delivery. So something that I'm testing right now is, for example, if you have a brand that brings stuff from Taiwan or China, it's going to take a lot of time to fulfill the order and whatever. So instead of having people waiting and having a huge ticket volume, you can send them a postcard, nice written postcard, because there's like apps for doing handwriting as well from the CEO. When you tell people like, we know this is going to take a long time, but we're very excited because we're building this from scratch for you and we're doing this and that. And it's going to temper the number of tickets that you have. So direct mail is really cool if you know how to use it. And it's cool because you can connect it with Klaviyo and you already have the campaigns there. So basically you can just, send it to everyone. And it's pretty cool. So I'm testing. I don't want to speak more on it for obvious reasons.
I've heard brands, some agencies try to do that last year for Christmas. That put a discount code on.
Yeah,
Christmas
of course, they would send it everywhere.
Definitely. And
Yes, that's terrible. I think that's just like, to me, that loses the whole effect of it, because it's like those flyers you get in your box.
Yeah, no one cares.
For this, and this. It's like, I don't want to buy all this shit. I just throw it straight in the bin. I'll tell you something. I worked with a client at the end of Christmas last year, and they sent me a gift, like a huge box of like local craft beers, all snacks, with notes inside. Like, obviously they were working with us, so there was no obligation for them to send that. But I remember it vividly more than anyone else we've worked with, and it was basically just a note saying like, thanks, you did great work for us. Have a nice Christmas to you and your family.
What did you send them?
Nothing.
Exactly.
An invoice.
not even a card.
But I felt guilty after that. But no, honestly, when I received this, I thought, I spoke to
it's cool, man. It's
said,
cool.
"Oh, we need to do this next year because it made such an impact." And
I'm ready to get one from you. I'm ready.
There's an agency here
imminent.
that's goes pretty much out of the way, and it was an impression. Like after a company I was working with raised their Series A, they got a dozen roses sent to the CMO's office with a nice handwritten card that didn't say anything other than, congrats on your raise, with just like no link to anything, just like a signature from the company. And I mean, it worked. He got on a call. Like, it was something that stood out and was different. And then he got to bring those back to his wife, and like, she got roses, and she was like, what's the occasion? And then he had to come clean and say that it was really an agency that sends them to him in the office.
So do you think, though, that points to a wider problem where there's such an obsession with trying to measure things and attribute them back to conversion that people have stopped trying different strategies and creative stuff?
I mean, I've heard some real stories about what people have been doing in like B2B SaaS here in the Bay Area. And I mean, I've listened to Jikaban he's got like this thing that he used to do at Drift that was just absolutely nuts, where I'm going to share it anyway because I thought it was really nice. But like, he would send a specific message to someone and ask them tea or coffee from Starbucks, and then just send a DoorDash to bring them coffee to their office. Like, that was the level of, oh, they're hot to trot. We want this account. How do we stand out and do something different? And I was like, holy shit, people are actually like doing some crazy amount of $20 for the DoorDash plus the coffee, but that was worth it in terms of the cost to acquire that customer. And I mean,
I know this guy that did some crazy shit like this. I have a friend. I'm not gonna tell who it is because I don't want to, tell him out. But basically, he had a SaaS company reach out to him for a demo, and they said that if he's gonna do a demo, he's gonna get $200 worth of coffee. And he did the demo. He got the coffee, and obviously he didn't work with the company. Like, people are doing some really crazy shit, like paying someone. Messaged me that if I find them a lead, they're gonna give me $1,000. It's like, what? It's not me, that the LinkedIn user this time. I don't know who commented.
I know. I was actually curious myself. That's why I brought them up. Pebble Post, DM retargeting, and Sendoso. I'm curious who that is. Please say your name.
Let me see who it is.
Was that
Yeah. Sendoso?
Was that?
Yeah. This is the thing. Like, you have to start, and Romans and I have had this conversation, especially in like the e-commerce space. The cost of a good, we like to hide it from people.
Oh, Lorenzo messaged us. Lorenzo knows. I trust. If it's from Lorenzo, we trust it.
Follow the Dom to Blake. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, someone's running the numbers on this, and they're like, we really need to grow, and we really need these accounts, and you have to start looking at it. Like, it's funny because what's his face? Nathan Latka. I don't know why people go on his YouTube and like actually give their stats and figures. It's great for competitive research.
That guy with the magazine, with the SaaS magazine, right?
Yeah, but you start hearing like the customer acquisition costs for some of these people, and you have to start scratching your head and being like, why are you spending that much time and money thinking this is going to work? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Funding must have ridiculous amounts. But yeah, definitely all for trying creative ideas regardless. And seems like it's more commonplace in SaaS. Obviously, I don't think the unit economics would stack up to doing this for e-commerce for sure.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, in SaaS is such a funny space because I think like the average tenure of the head of sales at SaaS is like 18 months, and 6 months of that is ramping up, and 6 months is out the door because things aren't working out. So you got like 6 months of like doing stuff. So you got to throw everything at the whole fire hose, and everything gets thrown.
You do everything, man. You walk their dogs, you babysit their kids. You got to do what you got to do. Honestly, it's real. And actually, I was talking to Valentin today. I was looking in our pipeline, and I saw this guy that for a year I was trying to sign a CRO contract with, and he finally, not going to say who, he finally is using the fucking tool. I was like, oh my God, after a year. And it's insane. Like, it takes the contracts in SaaS horrible. Like, for when we were working only on the CRO side, this before doing retention and what we're doing right now, which is like a mass adoption on Shopify. Oh my God! Like, the whole sales process was wrong. 3 months was good. You were lucky to sign a contract in 3 months.
It's not around your timing. It's around their timing. Like,
yeah.
This is what people forget. Like, everyone's like, oh, you need to.
It doesn't work like that.
That's what people don't understand, right? Like, you're building a pipeline for a long time, but a lot of people will close 6 months, 8 months afterwards. It's about what they're currently using, how you fit into their workflow, and where that transition can happen. I mean, people can be hot to trot on like wanting to do something, but then you need to get buy-in across an entire organization to make it happen. It's all timing.
Yeah, it's consuming. Like, I'm excited and happy that I got rid of that. I mean, even with e-commerce company, it takes time because it's still a company. Like, you're still selling something, and it's a bit shorter than how it was on CRO. But even now on retention, like, it's so hard because the people's mindsets are set still on ads and acquisitions, and they just want the fast ROI, but they don't understand that retention is the total opposite of fast ROI. That's the slowest fucking ROI you'll ever see in your life. Like, that's the problem. People don't get it. They think retention is just like a plug and play, make money, but it's not. It's not. It doesn't work like that. I've seen the clients we have results after 6, 8, 9 months.
All right, let's talk about this for half a second because
Let's do it.
Adam has something to talk about with this. Romans, how many clients come to you and say, hey, we want to get this return in this time frame that's absolutely not reasonable whatsoever and has no like basis in standing for being able to be pulled off?
First-time founders, I mean, that's
not only
they come with interesting expectations about how many sales they want to make and then scale profitably without having a dip in ROAS. And we're telling them, no, I think it's impossible. No. Can we do it in 30 days? It's like in 30 days, you like have almost zero data in your ad account. I mean, things of that nature, it's typical. It's for, I mean, if you work with someone like Jon, obviously it's a totally different ball game. But I mean, and also they're the ones who've actually scaled their businesses. It's not their first e-commerce business. I believe it all comes down to the founder or to the team that you're working with.
Yeah, Adam, you were telling me it took like 25 days to start getting like the first email together for people, like after signing someone sometimes. And like, that's like, that blew me away, because if I'm hiring an email agency, I'm like, I want a flow done in like a week. Let's get this stuff cracking. At least it's kind of like the metaphor of like building a company where you go with like the skateboard and then you work your way up to a car. And that's how I kind of view most marketing stuff. But you're a perfectionist, and 25 days is like, what? How? Why would I wait that long?
Yeah. So obviously, as you've probably seen our work, it's like heavily designed, led a lot of it as well. And when you introduce that type of framework, there's iterations that you can't get away from. And everyone always claims at the beginning, oh, I'm fast to respond. I'll give you feedback instantaneously. But then when it goes on like 4 days and you're like, we really need feedback to hit these dates. And then we're like, oh, just change this word here and the color of this. And then obviously that has to go back through the process. So yeah, it takes us about a month, I would say, in general, to get the first 2 flows up and running. But that's not because we're slow. It's because it's dependent on their feedback, their changes, like the brand's guidelines. And after usually we get the tone initially from the brands and we like understand the guidelines, then it's a lot faster after then. But yeah, 30 days.
Should we try to be perfect though? Or would it be better for most brands just to get started and do stuff? Like, I know that there's this obsession with, oh, you can't have a typo in an email or whatever else. And you know what's funny is like when we send out marketing emails, the only responses that we used to get is when we had a typo in the email. And like that means people are reading it. And I was like, sweet, maybe we should just include typos in the emails, because then we know people are reading it. And it sounds random, but like that's how you know people are actually going through your shit and giving you shit back for it, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, actually, because if you ever make a mistake, send into a list to 100,000 people, send an apology email follow-up, and look how high the response rate is and the open rate. So yeah, like it's funny to say this, but mistakes are underrated, and I think they're actually an opportunity to showcase that you have a more human element to you. And if you've got the right mentality, you can put a good spin on it. You just have to own up to it, and, you know, like I said, have that human element, because it can work in your favor.
Have you sent an apology email without like actually making a mistake?
No.
I would love to try that. I would absolutely love to do that. Say, hey, sorry about that. And then they'll be like looking for that email that you didn't send them, but they'll want to figure out what you did. You'd get so much buzz on social around doing that. Like that would go mini viral. I'm willing to bet if someone like really executed that correctly and said, hey, sorry about that last email, didn't mean to send that one out, our bad. And then there was no email.
Yeah. So I'm against stuff like this, because I don't believe in misleading people and being disingenuous. I think if you're doing it in a very creative way that's clearly playful and it's on brand, and the fact that you're not purposely trying to trick people, it's fine. But I think if you're just trying to game them with like disingenuous, fraudulent tactics, I'm against it completely. And it's interesting because my sister actually said to me the other day, I got an email from this company saying, oops, your order is delayed. And she went, I haven't even got an order, but I started shopping. I said, I hate stuff like this, because it's just...
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's clickbait, it's horrible, and it's conditioning you to just ignore them in the future.
Well, yeah, you can't lie. So the fraud is a real thing, and that's canned spam and stuff like that.
Juliana's email, last email got me. Although but it was like, hi, first name, middle name. I was like, what?
It was funny, but it was funny.
Cool. That was
so
cool.
That's funny. Yeah, that's done, I think, in a playful, effective way. And you know, it's not difficult to do that. You've just got to think outside the box and not fucking plaster 20% off on the front of an email and think, okay, this is the only thing I can send. You just have to have someone inside the company who says, let's just try something different.
So,
Bro, like I was laughing last night. I was doing a podcast and Valentin asked someone, what do you see the future of e-commerce? I was live with people and I started laughing. I was like sending them discounts to spaceships and shit. Imagine us being in the future in 2030 and just sending random ass discounts to fucking everywhere. Just buy my fucking product. It's insane, man. And I'm crying because you know what happened to me. There's this company called Best Value, and it's like airport type of a shop where you can buy like stuff that's cheap. You know those shops in airport where it's like the type of Best Buy or whatever, like cruise shop, like everything is cheaper. So I saw that they are delivering right now because of pandemics and whatever. So I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna buy some Finnish chocolate. So they had the spin the wheel, everything. I actually used spin the wheel, because I wanted the discount because the fucking chocolate was expensive. But I didn't. But I did. Let's not talk about that. So I was, but this is how I didn't buy. So I did the bullshit. I was laughing to myself. I get on the checkout page and I see there that they were asking me for my plane ticket. I was like, I don't have no fucking plane ticket. So I said, okay. I thought that I don't have to buy. Then they sent me a abandoned cart because I did it on purpose to see what they do. And in the abandoned cart, they told me that I don't need a plane ticket. And I was like, fuck it, I'll get back to it another day. And then they messaged me again the second day and said, we got your plane ticket. I'm like, what the fuck? What plane ticket? So it's scary because I just ended up unsubscribing from them. I was like, what the fuck? What, did I buy a plane ticket?
I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see a spin the wheel that when you spin it goes, you've won fuck all, but we've got your email.
Can we share the screen? Like, can you share the screen and spin the wheel? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. But I was laughing, man. I was laughing while I was doing it because it's funny. I'm actually pissed off because I only wanted the discount from Pit Viper. Man, I fucking abandoned that car so many times. The fucking discount never came. So there's people that don't even do the discount, and it's insane. And I think discounts should be done as Jon. Like I think Jon's strategy on the couponing and discounting is the best ever because it creates that sort of psychological pressure that shit, I got this discount and I have to use it because this is how we are as people, man. Like we have this money, we have to spend it. Like as a Romanian, as an Eastern European, I relate. I swear to God, I will keep. I had this discount from Coton. It's a clothes shop here in Eastern Europe. I didn't even need shit. I just went to the shop because I had to use it, and I ended up spending a whole shit of money on random stuff that I don't wear, like just house clothes, t-shirts and whatever. Because that's the mentality, man. Like we're cheap motherfuckers, and we like to, and if you do that type of couponing that Jon does, it's beautiful.
I don't want to go into my stories of Romania because
no, do it.
I might lose a few followers, but got a couple of interesting comments actually. Blake, I spent hours on a sale email for clients, made a typo on the link, sent an immediate apology that took 2 minutes. Best email ever sent from a revenue standpoint. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all to hear stuff like that.
Should this be an actual strategy though? That's my kind of question on it. Like, I mean, if you do it, I mean, you can make a mistake. People make mistakes all the time. There's no one saying that it's not like a manufactured mistake is not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think if you could probably do it like once a year, but it's when you get to the point where every single email, your order's out for delivery, we did it again, and then
you can't mess with that stuff. But I mean, like if you did a well-timed one around like a dry period, like a July would be like a Prime Day, right on Prime Day, or something to boost you in getting any sort of interaction with your brand. I think it could work.
Yeah,
it's funny because I know that this is gonna come up in 6 podcasts next.
This has been done by a few companies. Trends.co did it as a test for Black Friday, I assume, and New Year's. Wrote an email, sent it to an internal member of staff saying, can you check this discount code? We're going to send it out tomorrow. And the first 100 people are going to get this mega discount, and CC the whole list, followed it by mistake email. I've got a client who did this exact thing, Fergal, and I know exactly what you're talking about. When I took over their accounts, I seen they employed exactly the same strategy.
Is that fraud though? Saying it's the first 100 and then you're going to give it to more than the first 100? That raises flags for me. That seems very, very borderline spammy.
This is the issue, isn't it? Like it's definitely borderline. Like it's just straight up lying for a start. So where do you draw the line between creative strategy and fraud?
I don't think I'd be able to greenlight that. Anything that uses specific numbers gets you in trouble. And I know we've seen this, and we've all had conversations about like people saying, giving advice, saying like 9 left, 10 left, or whatever. That's complete bullshit. Like that is basically fraud. Like that is trying to intentionally deceive someone to get them to take an action on something. Like, you better have only that many left at the time you send that. Like, that's kind of, I like that there's people that are kind of pushing boundaries and lines, but the ultra black hat, yeah, as in ultra gets you in trouble really quickly.
I feel as though this advice.
What's wrong with the 9 pieces left? What's wrong with the timer on email? What's wrong with that? I heard that's the new thing to do. I heard that.
There was a company, I think, that you sent me, Juliana, that had like a countdown, and then when it ended,
Please don't tell who.
It just went and started again. And I've noticed this on like a couple of companies, like scarcity and urgency by like putting a countdown timer in shit or saying this is only good for so long. That's the company journey instead of the customer journey. And this is what really bothers me, because it's like, how many people do you just want to piss off? Like, you're trying to get them to buy from you and you're just pissing them off.
And everything just happens in under 1 minute on the website, man. Like, you don't even know what to look at. Like, you get on the website and you see this, and Jesus from heaven bought a,
Yeah. It only works if it's an auction and there's a
right.
That's the only time you should have a countdown timer, is if it's an auction.
This shit, like, websites look like arcades for me. Like, it's that much going on. It's too much going on. And I think, this example with auction is so good to spin the wheel, timers, all this gamification of the page. Like, unless you're selling fucking, I don't know, Jamboree, products, or I don't know, some stuff like that fits with you, then it's just useless.
I think it was good for online marketing courses back in 2015, 16, when they were starting out with ClickFunnels. But I still, when I discovered online marketing and I saw the timer or whatever, the countdown thing, I was like, do people fall for it? I mean, it's apparent. It's not a thing. So
for me, it's annoying as fuck.
Here's a question for you guys. Let's I want to move this to something that I actually
am
thinking about doing. As being in the pop-up game and looking to kind of change the way that we approach interactions on websites. For certain companies, the cost of goods is actually lower than the cost of acquiring a user via Facebook. And we're looking at conversion rates that are 2 to 4%. Let's say that you're doing really, really well, right? Would it make sense to do what we do, incentivize data collection, and give basically a free product away to someone in exchange for data, and bring them into an ecosystem to retarget them and mash them up? Because right now we're looking at costs of acquiring a user, and if it's 3 or 4 times the cost of one of your goods, does it make sense to single out that traffic coming from those URLs that are coming from paid, and then give away a free product, get all their information, get them into the system, and then work through that?
Jon, we're going to do this exact thing with 1,000 units of products with a client. Can't really mention the niche because it'll become obvious who they are, but essentially, we're going to do this, basically give away 1,000 units for free. It's a subscription business, and then basically just save how many subscribe and what the return is to see if it makes sense as an acquisition strategy.
I mean, I would only do it if I'm acquiring data that goes along with the people.
So we'll get the data. Yeah, they have to actually subscribe, and then they get the first month free of the product. So it's 100% off coupon for the first month.
I mean, it's just the math for a lot of brands just works out, because I remember when we were doing this at LifeX and figuring out that it was actually cheaper for us to give away lights than it was to pay do ads and acquire someone that way. I mean, once again, blended ROAS is what you're looking at anyway, but for a lot of brands, especially in apparel, it would kind of make more sense when you're early days to start running the math on this and say, hey, if the good cost me $3 and an acquisition is costing me 15 to 20, I could just give away 6, 7 of these things, and then track my retention rate on what's coming back, and figure out a way to make sure that you're capturing all that information, bringing through the normal funnel and stuff like that.
I think it depends. The whole strategy. I mean, I wouldn't apply it to everything, but I think, early days subscription works as well. I wouldn't do it, I don't know, on everything. I don't think a lot of people, there's a money problem. It's more like a value problem, So you don't know that, those people just come because it's free shit, and you don't know what's the quality.
But you
But,
don't need to
it's
necessarily.
the same shit with ads. Like you don't know what the quality of people is either.
Okay, go with me for a second, because
Yeah.
in our current framework that we have, it's you subscribe and then you're given something, right?
Mhm.
Because we don't have to follow those rules anymore, we can say save 20% off, you sign up, and then you can be surprised at the end that says, hey, actually this is good for something absolutely free. Click here to unlock your other coupon code for future use. Like, that is entirely a possibility right now of logic branching something into creating an experience that's like surprise and delight. Can you imagine, like, if someone came and hit a website and they thought they were getting a 20% off to use, and instead they ended up getting not only the 20% off, but also like a coupon code to use for something free too? Like, that's really pushing the envelope of what you can do in terms of that's a customer experience I would talk about. I'd be like, I thought I was signing up for 20% off, and not only did I get that emailed to me, but I also got,
and you tell everyone as well, like all your friends and family, straight away to use it.
And this is the thing, because we're actually really, really thinking about doing this, because we would A/B test it, and
word of mouth,
yeah, we do that via for like 10%. So it'd be like a random thing that would happen to 10% of the people that subscribed, or 2% of the people that subscribe. But the fact that people would go through the process and look for it, like, that would be a lot of fun to create that experience, because you're not denying them what they thought they were signing up for. You're just enhancing the experience even further.
Yep.
But what if they don't believe it?
Doesn't matter. They're going to go through the checkout anyway. If they don't go through the checkout, then they don't get anything. It's that easy, right? Like, you can't apply double discounts. So you got to choose which one are you going to use, right? Are you going to take the free product, or are you going to take that one? Do you do 2 orders, right?
Now that's a test I want to see. How many people decide to pay for it and how many people decide to go for it free. That's a test I want to see, because sometimes, shit is too good to be true.
No, so this is actually
how many people exit.
We were thinking about testing this, and I've written this multiple times on LinkedIn. I'm waiting for someone to be like really, really brave at this, but like, I would love
to Lorenzo, I think.
Yeah, nice. So yeah,
I would love to see someone just have like a subset on an A/B test where they're giving away like an 80% discount code.
Yeah.
And just see how many people actually convert based on the amount of those codes that are unique, and just track it. Because if you can't sell at an 80% discount, then you have other problems going on your store. And you don't have to do this for a long time. You can do this for literally a day, cover your costs, break even on everything, be good for word of mouth, etc. You only 80% off, run it for a day and see how many people actually convert doing that.
Yeah.
And you're just removing bias and understanding what your customer journey and customer flow looks like. And it also gives you a knock on like the quality of traffic. For instance, Romans, we could set up one campaign that has a specific UTM and then only target that UTM and see what the price is by A/B testing different percentages off for that one day. Like, that would be a fun experiment to do, to hack our way through, how low could we get a CAC if we did it that way? Like,
at which stage does this devalue the brands, do you think?
It's you wouldn't even notice it. Like, you could target the specific URL coming from something, so you wouldn't notice it unless you clicked on that ad set, that link. Like, this is something that we could test specifically where you would never notice it. It would never appear that way to anyone outside the people that clicked on that link.
Okay, so just specifically to like a segment in an ad rather than like widespread, here's 80% off all our products, because I think this might fall into the category of when someone gets something so cheap or for free, sometimes they don't value it. And I wonder whether that would leave like a lasting impression on the brand where you damage your credibility.
I would only do this to test 2 things. One, understanding a price point where people were more likely to convert at a really high rate, to understand where the price anchoring was for a product and perceived value was a no-brainer for them. And the other one would be to see how low we could get CAC if we ran something very, very specifically. So in theory right now, everyone assumes that CAC is like $22 on average for most stores. Does it have to be? Is there ways that we can psychologically change that and set a different baseline that says, hey, if we do this specific offer, we're seeing a CAC drop to something like $4 per or $3 per, so we can manipulate it. Most of the data and most of the things that people think about doing, they're thinking within the realm of what the base benchmarks are for right now. If there are no rules and you can change the rules, we have to do these tests to figure out how good you can possibly be, and then work our way back to what's profitable. And I'm not saying like widespread, I'm saying like really, really targeted. Some of these experiments would be really, really fun to run. And we'd have a really good idea to like bucket brands into saying, hey guys, if you can't convert, 80% of your people given a 70% discount, you have a bad audience fit. Like this is not really working. Obviously collect data in between and figure out if it matches to your normal quality audience. But this is the kind of stuff that I think is going to be fun to
that's what I like about working with Jon, because most of the stuff like I'm used to, what Jon says is just the standard benchmark, industry benchmark, and that's basically how most agencies operate. There are quote-unquote growth agencies. They call themselves growth agencies. I know for the fact I know only one growth agency that actually growth hacks advertising. But then I know the founders personally, but most of them would probably be quite mediocre and just doing the same thing over. So I totally agree. Like when about like trying to hack customer acquisition costs and try to load down by testing different stuff with with the audiences is the way forward.
Fuck it, let's do this test. Let's figure out a way to do this test in the next couple.
And then show it to us, man.
I'm looking forward to the case studies, boys. Get them up. Let's see it.
This is an interesting one. I don't think a lot of people would have the balls to do this, or like
they won't. I wouldn't.
Well, like I said, my client's going to do it almost certainly. I pitched the idea. I mean, it's not my territory, and it's not directly on ads. We're going through a B2B to B2C, but they're going to do it. They're going to give away 1,000 subscriptions for free and basically just see what the lifetime value is and monitor these people over time. So see if it makes sense for them.
In subscription, it makes sense, in my opinion. Like in subscription, it makes sense because you sample it and whatever. I don't see it in fashion though, Jon. So I'm super excited to see this.
Juliana, that's a good point. I was going to say, does this only apply to consumables? Like, is it dangerous to try this out in certain industries?
I don't think so, and it depends on what you're selling. And in our example, this would be selling men's underwear. So we'd you'd buy multiple. So and it's one of those things where we'll test it, we'll figure out what works. But I'm about to get a little brave on trying some new things that people haven't done, because I'm really interested how low I can get CAC. And, if we break even on something, so be it. But I want to at least test. I don't even mind losing money a little bit to understand something.
But this is a cool idea to test. Like, I'm very curious to see how it, I wouldn't have the balls to test it. So I don't have balls in general. Yeah. So
there we go. Next episode, Jon and Romans are going to produce the results, and we're going to see the birth of Ivanco Media, the new ads agency.
I want nothing to do with that.
Supreme world traffic. How was it? Supreme
quality traffic. It's coming. It's coming. I need to print it.
Please do. And for questions for us, just email us at Supreme.
Well, we can do that. We can all sign the T-shirt. So we'll ship it all around the world, sign the T-shirt.
We're dropping an album too.
We'll do another Q&A and then give it away to someone for the best question.
Oh, God. Okay, guys.
Hey, guys. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Bye, guys.
Bye.